I see the Magician.
Are we back now?
Wave your hand so that we can see if it's like, okay, I see your hand.
Okay. All right. Whew, honey, this, okay, all right.
Technology's like, nah, I won't let you.
Right? I need some of these skills here, right? I need some of these. Okay, so with the Magician here now, this is who?
So that's Aang in his avatar state.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay. So I notice, well, because I'm at the beginning stages of watching the series, that when he gets into that state, it's also very draining for him too. That's one of the things I noticed. Okay.
One of the things that I thought, so with the Magician, I know that sometimes there's that energy of somebody kind of, it's all a front.
Yes.
And the avatar state is literally a culmination of all of the past lives. So it's not necessarily the person themselves.
Right.
So there is that tendency to just use the avatar state as a crutch.
Gotcha.
Without developing your own skills.
Yes. Okay.
And that is one of the pieces of the journey that each avatar has to go through, is learning to develop themselves so they don't have to rely on this.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh, that's interesting for the Magician especially, right? So wouldn't you say that's a little bit different than what we know the Magician ordinarily to be?
In a way, yeah.
Right? Because we all, we know, well, supposedly know the Magician to supposedly have all the skills already. But you're saying in regards to this, you don't have all the skills just yet.
Not yet, yeah.
Yeah.
You're using, so even you can apply it to today's society. Everybody trying to create their own modalities, but they're using bits and pieces of everything else without creating their own.
Yeah.
And it will never be as strong or as true to you until you develop your own practice.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's the way that I saw it. And
I like it. Yes. Okay. So now we get to the High Priestess, the gorgeous High Priestess here.
So the name of this spirit is the Painted Lady. And she is a river spirit, a healer and a protector.
Okay.
When her river is corrupted by literally like sewage from a factory, she loses her strength. So Katara comes in and she dons her guise and pretends to be the spirit and heals the people in the village and tries to protect them.
Okay.
So this could be the actual spirit.
Or Katara.
Or it could be Katara.
All right. Okay. Hence that High Priestess energy, right? So this goes beyond just using your intuition as the High Priestess. Yeah. Okay. See what I love about this deck? I think it takes you deeper if you know the story, right? So of course, this is my Empress. Yes.
Avatar Kyoshi. So she was a very strong, and in the physical sense too, avatar. She was not afraid to do what needed to be done, and that did mean and possibly taking somebody's life. It's
right.
She did what she had to do to protect her people.
Yes.
And she didn't coddle her people. She taught them a new fighting form, to protect themselves. She's like, I'm not going to just keep you safe and then give you all bottles and you have to take care of yourselves. So
that's a little different than the Empress energy that we're familiar with as well, right? Because the Empress energy is nurturing, but we don't often hear about the Empress's strength, right? And teaching you. And maybe that's for the reason why she was my ride or die for so many years and coming up with that, and I fought that energy of the Empress because I always felt like she was like the ultimate mother, but she wasn't in that sense. Remember?
I think it's the mother at the beginning of the journey, because the Empress is usually portrayed pregnant, right?
Right, yeah.
With baby.
Yes.
And with a baby, you can't just say, take care of yourself.
Right, exactly.
It doesn't work. So at that point, yes, the mother has to be more coddly and taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
But here, this is the mother when the child has kind of grown up.
Yes.
Like, it's that point where the mother says, you know what? It's time for you to take what you've learned and take care of yourself. And now I need to take back my power.
Yeah, exactly. And she did.
So it's a different part of motherhood that I think we often forget and mothers often look for.
Right, exactly. To redefine yourself as a human being, and more so than just a mother. You're still there, you know, and as a mother myself, watching my son, even at his age, as we say in Jamaica, taking his licks and me not stepping in, you know, he gets a ticket or a bill, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I pull my hand, right? At some point they have to do the adult thing, even before they become adults.
Yeah.
Some, you know, through each of their stages. Okay, so now we have next, I'm going to start moving some of these out of the way. The Emperor. Is this the Fire Lord?
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's the Fire Lord, Zuko and Azula's dad. And I mean, he is the epitome of, I guess, what people would say, like the reversed emperor.
Yes.
Like when you take that authoritativeness,
yes,
and completely misuse it and become a dictator. That's
what he did with his son. I know. Ooh, honey. Wow. Yeah.
There's lessons learned, and then there's I'm gonna burn your face.
Yes. Okay. So, people who are watching this, if you never watched the Avatar, you're gonna want to watch the Avatar, right? Okay. So
we're spoiling things for people who didn't realize that we're gonna be talking.
That's okay, because it still causes, I'm hoping that it still raises the curiosity, right? It's an old show, but you still want to, I think, sit down and be like, oh my gosh, the fullness of the show. Like, I don't think we're spoiling anything by going through this right now. I just don't. Okay, so the Hierophant here.
Have you gotten to him?
No.
Okay.
So just keep it really brief.
Yeah. So his name is Wan Shitong.
Okay.
And he is the keeper of a library.
Okay.
And so he loves collecting knowledge. But it gets to the point where the knowledge is like, he only accepts like literary tomes and, you know, great written works. And he kind of looks down on the new forms of information and learning. And so he is kind of stuck in his ways, I guess you could say.
Right.
And it isn't and he takes away his library when he realizes that people only want information to use it against others.
Gotcha. Okay.
So people no longer want to learn for the sake of learning. They want to learn to take advantage of something.
Okay.
And he says, "Ya no mas, I'm bye-bye."
Yeah. Okay. And so that Hierophant energy, that's almost, someone had told me the idea is to bring people together to share information and better the community. I'm going to leave it at that, right? The Hierophant. I know sometimes, so I always used to think of the Hierophant of being like corporate America, rules, structure, order, tradition. But this Hierophant energy I'm feeling he understands that he's about tradition and such like that, and is bothered when people have a disregard for tradition. But I think, okay, I'm going to leave it there. Sometimes it's okay to intermingle tradition with the new stuff that's coming in, so they can build new traditions, right?
Adapt, I mean.
Right. That's how we advance. Yeah. So now we have the Lovers.
So these guys are nomads.
Okay.
Who literally are just they act the way that they're represented here in the card. They just,
they're just that.
Oven,
yeah,
music. Now, the episode that they are a part of is about lovers,
right,
who were not, kind of like a Romeo and Juliet. They weren't allowed to be together, so they had to create a cave, a maze, and you had two choices in that cave. You can try to find your way using a light and get lost,
right,
because you're using too much,
the brain, yeah.
Or you can have faith in that love, turn out the light, and let your heart or your intuition or your trust, your faith in somebody guide your way to them.
Yes.
And it turns out that when you turn off the light and you have that faith, that trust, it turns out that the cave actually has glow-in-the-dark crystals, so you're able to find your way.
Wow.
So, but you have to take that leap of faith.
You
have to choose between using this or using this.
Wow. Okay. Wow. See, I'm excited to watch that episode. I know. See?
This episode is hilarious. I think you'll like it.
Oh, wow. All right. So here's one of my favorite characters. I'm in love with this. First of all, is he a buffalo?
So the creatures in this show are hybrids.
Oh, gotcha.
So all of them. So you'll have polar bear dogs. You'll have hummingbird dragonflies. They're combinations
of things. Okay.
So he's considered a flying bison.
Okay.
If people are familiar with Studio Ghibli films,
yes.
My Neighbor Totoro, he is based off of the cat bus.
Oh, okay.
From that show, which is why he has like six or eight legs.
8 legs, yes. Oh, I like it. Okay.
Now, I believe, this is from me, I think that the character in here is an original character from Nydia, from the author. So I think this is her original character.
Okay.
But I think it's interesting, out of all the I guess you could say the creatures that you could use in the show, to use the bison, which is the airbending teacher. So I guess kind of saying that, in order to go the fastest, it's relating to the air. Which, for those who see the elements as increasing in speed or decreasing, the air has considered to be the fastest.
Right.
And if you think about it, sometimes the things that are the fastest are our words or our thoughts.
Yes, exactly. Now, it's kind of ironic because the chariot is usually associated with Cancer, which is water sign. See?
Interesting.
Something deeper to look into there.
And this is what we want to know what the author was thinking behind it.
Right, exactly. That's what I want to know. Because when the series first starts, Appa. Okay. Appa. He has a hard time getting up into the air. Right? So it's almost like if he's associated with air, it could be having a hard time getting your thoughts. Like sometimes I do. Thoughts and your words, to make them tangible, to, make them cohesive and such. What's the word we're looking for? Articulate. That fancy schmancy thing, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. So now we move on to this creature.
So this is unagi, which is the Japanese term for eel. And so I find it interesting that she used this particular scene.
Yeah.
Because the first time Aang tries to ride this beast, it's to show off.
Right.
To Katara, and so it's taking strength, and it's like that you're not using strength for yourself to overcome something, you're trying to use it to show off.
Right, exactly, right? So I think that's what they say when they talk about strength as taming the inner beast, right? That like you said, that ego, taming that, bringing it down a couple of notches, knowing, like, with Tarot, I always feel like the cards are so intertwined. Like, I don't feel like any particular card is a standalone by itself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they carry so much meaning, because even with strength, you are asked to probably pull back, take a better view of things, you know, be objective about certain things before you react. And maybe that's why sometimes, you know, I see strength as the lion. The lion does not exert energy running after this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? Like, why am I'm a freaking lion. I'm going to eat when I'm hungry. And when I'm hungry and I feel like I need to be on the move, then I'm going to do that. Not everything is a perceived threat that I have to expend my energy,
Mm-hmm.
right? I could be reserved because I'm a freaking lion. I don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, to me, that is like, not everything requires a response or that expenditure of energy, you know, getting off track, getting off focus. You know, yeah. You know, are we showing off to show our power,
Mm-hmm.
our vocabulary, you know, our knowledge? This is one of the things that I appreciate about children's books. To me, I think that those are like some of the most informative pieces of literature written. Children's books, fairy tales, things like that. You know, if you sit down with kids, anyway, I'm digressing. You see, the whole thing. I'm all up in the air here. Let me get in. Let me get to the Hermit stage. Yes.
Let me get his names right. Batik.
Uh-huh.
So he is, I get, people might say that he's like a middle ground because he decides not to engage in the war that's going on in the show.
Right.
But he knows what his job is, and his job is to wait for the avatar and to teach him, to tell him a little bit more about what's going on with his body, with his energy body, his
Right.
spiritual body. And people have like the representation that the show gives of each chakra.
Uh-huh.
And it doesn't just go into, this is the root chakra, this is the solar plexus.
Right.
They view it as, this is what gives it strength, and this is what blocks it.
Gotcha.
So it tries to look at it from a more broad standpoint.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And he tries to work with Aang. And what I love is that it doesn't happen immediately.
Yes.
Aang reaches a point where the guru says, you need to give up love in order to find balance in, I think it's the heart.
Yes.
And Aang says, I can't. And that's okay. Like, he's a child.
Yes.
And the great thing is that he doesn't he doesn't
enforce him, he doesn't push him.
He doesn't push him, he doesn't force him, and he doesn't chastise him for doing
that.
it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the knowledge will always be there, when you are ready to receive.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
And I think that is the show of when somebody has reached that hermit stage. You're wrong. I'm going to chastise you for it.
Yes.
Why are you getting aggressive? Like, what in you feels that you need to be aggressive to somebody?
Right. Right.
Like, when you reach that place where you understand that the person still needs to work through things before they can fully absorb the information. So I think that's a good hermit.
Good fit. I like it for the hermit. Okay, I do. I appreciate that too. Mm-hmm. Wow. Let me find out that this cartoon is going to take my tarot practice to another level. Like, whoa, right? See, okay, Wheel of Fortune.
So the Wheel of Fortune, I'm pretty sure, are the representation of the two fish, like a more abstract version, the ones that you see on the back of the card. And they are Tui and La. They are the moon and ocean spirits. And the idea is that they are so connected that they are always in balance. They're circling around each other.
Right.
And when somebody, a general from the Fire Nation, destroys the moon spirit.
Yes. Chaos.
It's
Yeah.
The waterbenders, they lose their power, and the ocean goes nuts.
Gotcha.
The ocean literally goes on like a destruction spree.
Yes. Yes.
And so the Wheel of Fortune is referring to, like, here in connection with this show, about many things work together to create the whole.
Yes.
And you take one piece out.
Exactly. And I think, you know, for me, I always say with the Wheel of Fortune that as human beings, we must strive to be here, right? Sometimes in our lives, you know, if you look at the traditional Wheel of Fortune, you know, we might be carrying the Wheel of Fortune on our back, literally, you know, feeling like we're being run over, plowed down by the Wheel of Fortune. Or sometimes we're riding at the top. As you see in traditional tarot decks, you know, you're sitting at the top. And for me personally, my personal relationship with the Wheel of Fortune, whenever this has been my card of the year, I have gone through major, major changes, which other people will equate as tower moments. But those are not tower moments for me. Those are Wheel of Fortune just totally obliterate my life moments. You know, I had a year when the Wheel of Fortune was my year of the card. I lost my father. I lost my job one year. I lost my home one year. When I have the Tower card in my life, I'm like, hallelujah, this is perfect. And I think because energetically, you know, the Tower is one of my cards. You know, it's like my soul card. So maybe I know how to fully embrace that energy. But when I see a Wheel of Fortune come up, and I know a couple of years ago, the Wheel of Fortune, actually 2 years ago, the Wheel of Fortune was my card, and I was bracing myself. And I think for once, I want to say maybe it was in 2018. Yes, 2018. I braced myself, and nothing out of the ordinary happened. Per se. A lot of extraordinary things happened, but I ended the year actually sitting in the center of the Wheel of Fortune.
Nice.
So that was my lesson. Okay.
Right.
Now we get to this gentleman. And I'm finding myself developing a soft spot for this character. Now, maybe later on it might change, but right now I'm developing a soft spot for this character. And just don't give away who it is, but it's, go ahead.
The blue spirit is somebody who appears and you don't know whose side he's on.
Right.
Or she.
Yes.
It can be whatever you want it to be.
Right.
You think in the episode where I think he or she is introduced, where they are introduced.
Yes.
They save Aang, right. But then it almost appears that they are going to kidnap Aang right afterwards.
Right.
So when applying it to justice, you have to ask the question, justice for whom?
Right.
Because it's all about perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And is it justice? Is he like doling out justice, or does he want justice for himself, themselves?
Yeah. Don't know. You have to watch it and see, right? But as I said, I've found myself developing a soft spot for him, or her. Soft spot for them.
For them. We probably
I'm old school. I know, right? I have to. Yeah. All right. So the Hangman.
Guy's crazy, but I love him.
That looks like a coffin, and I have not seen that episode. So am I right in saying that's a coffin?
Yes, and that is what it is.
Okay.
So further on in the series, the Fire Nation gets a little, they start setting up territories. And they set up a territory in his nation, in his little, in his home, his town. And they lock him up in a metal coffin because they don't want him to earthbend.
Gotcha.
And he just stays there. He's like, it's okay. I'm fine. Aang tries to help him escape, and he's just like, nope, you gotta wait for the right moment.
Yes.
So we'll talk about it more again when we reach the Temperance card, but this and there's a reason why, and I think there's a very nice tie-in with the character from the Temperance card, and we'll talk about that when we get there.
Okay.
But this character just on his own, he's a loony, but a fun loony.
Okay.
He is all about seeing things from a different perspective. I mean,
Gotcha.
the Hanged Man. He challenges you to think things differently.
Right.
Don't just take things at front value.
Right.
Find me my pet. My pet, I can't remember the name of the pet. It's like Fluffy or something. And
right.
And they're automatically looking for the soft, tiny.
Oh my gosh! Yes, I remember. Yes, yes,
gigantic thing.
Yes, 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 yes.
So
okay.
So he's all about, stop trying to see things from like the straight point of view.
Right. Yes. Okay.
Look at it differently.
Yes. So that's who so I know now. Okay. So I could get. So, oh my gosh! Yes, that was a loony bit. Like he was. Yes. Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah,
okay.
That's him.
Yeah. Wow. Death card. Is this a Fire Nation energy?
I think that's just the Fire Nation as a whole.
Okay.
Now, I think it's the Fire Nation as has been created by I think it's the 3 Fire Lords.
Yes.
That basically initiated and continued the war. And it's death, literally. They decimated an entire nation.
Yes.
And so death in that sense.
Yeah.
But also,
that is that total transformation then. There is no going back after that. That is, like you said, the decimation of something, right? And again, it's a Fire Nation. See, this is where this deck is asking you to think outside of the box, at least for me, because we see all this fire energy, Fire Nation and such. And this is a watery card, energetically. It's a Scorpio. Think about that, right?
And also, aren't there forests that literally need fire in order to be able to grow?
Yes, exactly. So. Yes, yeah.
So it's like, which side of death are you more
right
energetically leaning towards?
I always say, like for me, in Yoruba, death is iku. And many years ago, I was diagnosed with something that basically could take my life. I'll put it to you that way. At any moment, right? I have to be on top of it daily. But key term being many years ago, several years ago, right? 6, 7, 8 years ago, 7 years ago, possibly. Yeah. And initially when you hear that, you become fearful. And I made a decision that I was not going to live my life living in fear. One of the things I do know is that we all die eventually, right? We just don't know when that's going to happen. So do I live my life wondering like, okay, it's today, or do I go out there and belly dance and sling cards and sew, right? And there's a pataki. I was talking to an elder of mine about this. There's a pataki that talks about iku. And this elder of mine told me, you have embraced the energy of iku. It is said that people like you dance with iku. And that's not about me taunting iku and dancing around the subject. It's me working symbiotically with iku, like the 2 fish circulating each other, right? I have an understanding and an appreciation of iku, of the energy of death, to the point where iku has actually blessed me with more life, if that makes any sense. Yeah. One of these days I'll share that pataki. But when my elder told me that, I was like, oh my gosh. And when I say your spirit becomes even more peaceful for that, right? Yeah. All right. I'm going to share that pataki. So now we get to another. Yeah. Let me move some of these things out of the way. Doesn't really matter. Okay. Because, people who watch me, I don't edit anything. So you get to see all the stuff. So this guy, Is this the person I talk about that I'm just like, has my heart right here?
The uncle.
The uncle. Like, that's who I want to be when I grow up. That's who I want to be like when I grow up. And I say that. That's who I strive to be. So if you can go ahead and tell me.
So here we have Uncle Iroh. Yeah. And for those who watch the show, I mean, he is literally the best character in the show. He is very wise, but because he has been through so much, and you do get a touch of that in the show. Like, you get to see some of the things. And he wasn't just a perfect guy. He did some not great things as well.
Right.
He was known as the Dragon of the West. I mean, you can only imagine what he had to do to get that kind of title.
Right.
But he reached a point after being humbled, after losing things, to the point where he realized that to be in the middle ground, as people like to call it, is not to just not pick sides. It's to have a side, but to know when is the right time.
Yes.
To participate.
Yes.
That moment before pouncing, that moment before action. That's this temperance.
Yes.
And the white lotus in the background is referring to the society that he's a part of. And I think you've seen some hints to it.
Yes.
From what you've seen so far. So this is where he connects to the Hanged Man character.
Gotcha.
He is also in that society.
Oh.
This society believed in the world of Avatar that knowledge is meant for everyone.
Right.
And they believe in a unified world.
Right.
And so you'll see these characters throughout the show from every nation, from like the poor, the wealthy, and they have reached a place where they understand that right now, it's not the time for action. And there is a way that you can guide people without holding their hand and telling them what to do.
Yeah.
A character, and I won't say who it is, gives one of the main 4 kids the White Lotus tile.
Gotcha.
As a way to say, you guys are on this journey, but you still have things that you need to work through and to learn before you reach that place of knowing.
Yes. Okay. Wow. So, yeah, people who watch, if you've never watched Avatar, because he talks about needing to find something, needing to get something, right? Which, yes. Now, okay, see now, wow. I'm telling you, oh my gosh.
I love his character. He's such a great one.
He is. Yeah. Is this a character or is this just this is a character?
Yeah, it's the dad again.
Oh, I see. The Fire Lord. Okay. Yeah. No explanation needed. You're going to have to watch for this. Wow. He is way over the top. Way. All right. Then we have the tower.
So this is the library.
Oh, okay.
So when the Wan Shi Tong, the spirit, he sinks his library to make sure that nobody can access it.
He does what to his library?
He sinks it into the ground. He takes it away from the mortal plane.
Wow.
He says, no more.
Okay.
I don't want people touching my library.
Wow.
So this is that moment when we as a people have abused knowledge to the point where knowledge says, that's it. We're going to take ourselves away.
Right. Okay.
So I think a lot of people like to assume that the tower is an external occurrence.
Right. It's not. It's an internal.
To them.
Yes.
Where sometimes it's internal.
Exactly. Most definitely.
Like Shapoopy,
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like with me, the energy of the tower, and I think I know for me that it is an internal tearing apart, tearing down. Like I told you earlier, when I started doing shadow work we're talking 30 years ago, shadow work was not a thing, wasn't a catchphrase. And it's something that I did by myself. You know, my journey, I began by myself. It's only in the past few years that I know about working with other people and we're talking about it and such. But I went through the dark night of the soul by myself. That whole tower, everything that I had built myself up with, every pretense and every, you know, sense of knowing, quote unquote, you know, in my life, I'm going to say almost 30 years ago, just had to be destroyed, had to be, in order for me to get here where I am today. So when people look at me, they think that I have it pretty much together. And most days I do. But I'm going to tell you, right? But I'm going to tell you what, many times I do experience, I'm reminded of that tower moment where I'm given the opportunity to break away some things. I'm humbled.
Yeah.
You know, I go through some things and I'm humble. Like, okay, what can I take from this? What can I build from this? Yes, it hurts, but I'm given the opportunity to rebuild a lot of things. And that's some things that I learned on my journey. I wish that I had like a great philosopher guru to sit down and like teach me about some things, but I didn't, you know? And so this is where the journey, you take the journey within yourself and you realize, okay, I'm going to take this journey and I'm going to open myself up to spirit. I'm going to have to trust and faith that whatever I have to go through, whatever I have to deal with, good or bad, is meant for me to go through so I can proceed onto the next leg. And I think that's where people tend to get hitched up on. That the tower, like you said, they believe it's an external situation and it's not. And that's why I said before, let the tower fall, let it crumble, let it go, right? I'm not talking about a physical thing.
I mean, even like just take a moment to think about a tower. If it's falling, it was not structurally sound to begin with.
Right. Right.
So if you're constantly trying to prop it up, you're going to put so much energy into propping it up.
Yeah.
Rather than building a stronger foundation to build yourself up again.
Exactly. You know, so that's fascinating. Okay, so now we move on to the star. I'm not sure.
This is the beginning of the series when he's in the ice.
Oh gosh! Oh my gosh! Wow, that's what that is.
I think that's the light when he awakens.
Gotcha.
And
okay.
Depending on what side you're on, that light could mean faith. Oh my gosh, the Avatar's back.
Yes.
The war is gonna end.
Yes.
Or like for Zuko.
Yeah, I know. The Avatar.
Now my journey, like. So depending on what side you're on, this could be a moment of like hope, of faith, or of...
Yeah. Okay. That's right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now we have the moon. I know. That's a beautiful, beautiful card. Girl, I'm telling you, I'm loving this deck. I swear I am. Oh, I'm loving the energy. What? There we go. I don't know why I was having a difficulty. So, just briefly, the moon.
So this is Yue. She was part of she was like, I guess you could say, a princess of the northern tribe. She was born very frail.
Right.
And so the father asked for the help of the moon spirit to give her life or to heal her. And in order to do that, it literally gave her a piece of itself. So when the moon was murdered, she realized, and even Iroh knew, he was like, look, you have a choice to continue this life of yours, which is not really your life. It's an illusion. It was given to you.
Yes.
Or to live the life that is true, where you are now the moon.
Wow.
And she had to make that decision for herself. Nobody forced her.
Right.
But she needed to come to that realization that, yeah, I am kind of living a lie.
Right. Yeah.
I'm living somebody else's life, and I need to give it back.
Right. Okay. All right. Now we have the Sun.
I wrote down their names. They are Ran and Shaw. These were the two dragons that were left after the whole race was hunted down.
Right.
And these are the original teachers of firebending. And our young characters, Aang and Zuko, have to go to these teachers and learn the truth of firebending. It's not just an aggressive, it is literally the spark of life.
Right.
The passion, the creation of something, that spark of fire. So they had to learn that from these dragons. Okay.
Do the pyramids have anything?
So I guess you could say that the original culture,
right,
who worshipped or who were the firebenders themselves, were kind of like an Aztec, indigenous Mexican tradition, culture. And they're still alive, but they just keep to themselves and learn from the dragons. So there is history even within this show.
Right.
And it shows how a culture can be the original, like, we worked around this energy and how it transformed into like the Fire Nation.
Fire energy, yeah. Okay. That's what I said. I would love to speak to the creator of this deck. Like, her mind is freaking brilliant to like translate that into this, right? Okay. Judgment.
So Aang is having to confront his the essence of the avatar state. And there is a appointed time where he is with the guru.
Right.
And he decides to not continue with his training because he won't give up Katara.
Right.
And in a way, it's like he's being judged by his avatar state. Like, you are not willing to take that next step.
Yes.
Now, it could all be in Aang's mind.
Right.
That he feels like he is being judged by his avatar state.
Right, right.
So it makes you think, where's the judgment coming from? Is it coming from an external, like somebody saying boo-boo on you? Or are you creating the judgment yourself?
Right. Yeah.
So it's that internal, external struggle that the young character has to go through.
Okay. And then we have the world.
And it's the world.
And it's the world. Exactly. Right? That nothing else to say. So now we move on to the minors. Any particular cards that we should look at that gives a little bit more fleshing out? Because some of the cards, like, the ace, let me see. I'm looking at the Ace of Cups.
I think the aces are a very clear representation of that suit.
Right, of that suit, right? That suit, that element. Right.
I think it's definitely, interesting that because...
What about this one?
So this is Sokka and Suki.
Okay.
And the Two of Cups, I think people like to just immediately associate as a relationship.
Yeah.
But they go through a rocky, for kids who usually just we're in love.
Right.
True love. Sokka doesn't get with Suki immediately because he still has feelings and conflicting emotions about Yue, the woman who became the moon.
Right.
And so the Two of Cups can be about relationships, but about us having to come to terms with our own, maybe things that happened in the past before we can move on. And maybe things don't have to be a romantic relationship. Maybe our relationship is meant to be just amicable, friendly, platonic.
Exactly.
So coming to terms with that and realizing that not everything has to be romantic. I definitely like that each suit kind of relates to each like bending type. It's nice. I think the Seven of Cups is just really funny because of the episode it's from.
Okay, let's see. Let me get to that.
So they're lost in the desert, and their only source of nourishment was the liquid or the from cacti, which has been fermented.
Oh, the nectar or whatever. Yeah. Oh, fermented. Wow. Yeah.
So they're literally like they are off the wall. And so,
okay. Wow. All right.
So the Seven of Cups, at least for me, has sometimes been like an overwhelming card. We're trying so hard to do too many different things that we're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I think this card is literally like, at least for me, showing that like, all right, I'm just gonna throw everything out, and now I'm just gonna go. I'm completely crazy. I don't know what's going on.
Right.
And so from there, you can kind of, all right, let's start again. Let's kind of bring things to order. And then let's see, what other card did I from the wands.
Oh, okay. No, I do want to ask you something else on the cups. Okay. This character.
I'm pretty sure that's Sokka.
Okay.
From what I could tell, I think all the main four, minus Katara, have been put as the pages of each suit.
Okay.
And I think, that is to show that even though they are the main characters, they're still very young in their journey. And he goes through a lot. I mean, this character in the show is basically given as the comedic relief.
Right.
And even in the show, they have like a meta moment where they say, am I just that?
Yeah.
Am I just the comedic relief?
Exactly.
Can be more. And I'm not going to say it because I want you to experience it.
Okay.
He comes into his own.
Good.
By the end of the show.
Good. Because it's one of the things I know. I was sitting there taking the show very seriously, and then this character comes in. I'm like, is he the buffoon? I guess you gotta have that balance there, right? Is he the immature part of ourselves as well? Or is he someone of importance? The Three of Wands. That was another card.
Yeah. So this, I believe, is an original character. But let me pull it up so I can look at it with my eyeballs. But this one. So I thought this card was interesting because you don't know if she is ready to get on that ship.
Right.
Or if she left it.
Right.
Because for the Fire Nation in this show, there are a lot of characters that are conflicted, especially young ones. Like, do we just do as our forefathers have taught us?
Right.
And be like, take over the world, or do we take a stand and basically go out on our own?
Right.
So this could be that choice of like, who am I? Who do I side with?
I think you see that also reflected in society these days, right? Wars have been going on for so long that people have forgotten, what are we even fighting about? What are we fighting about? That little piece of rock, that desert, that something that happened 500, 600, 700, 800 years ago. And it reminds me of the story when they're going through the canyon. Two tribes are going through the canyon. You know what I'm talking about? And then Ang gives a story within a story. And I'm going to leave it at that. You've got to watch that, because when he And I realized, like, sometimes you have to do that in order to get to a place. So this is about, he took, for as young as he was chronologically, he was still a very wise energy. And it has nothing to do with age, you know, that wisdom. It was something about maybe internally within him that realized, okay, what is it that I want everyone to do? And this is survive the trek through the canyon, right? For me, it was heart-wrenching about the guide. I feel like he suffered the most because of these two warring tribes. So it's even like the innocent who's trying to help you can suffer the most.
Because I think each, like the brother and sister, Katara and Sokka, one goes with each.
Right, exactly.
Get their perspective.
Yes.
And you can feed into that instead. And
right, you know,
watch the whole series.
Right, exactly. So what were you saying? You're going to say something about the Seven of Wands? Oh, yeah.
Five of
Wands. Okay, let me pull that.
Because when I did like the interview with the deck,
yes,
this was the card that popped up as like my overall message that I need to pay attention to.
Okay.
And so these are the brother and sister.
Uh-huh.
And in the show, there is the idea that there are different forms or different, I don't want to say purities because that assumes that one is better than the other. There's like different, the elements can express themselves in different ways.
Right.
So they say that lightning is technically part of fire energy. And so here you have the two kind of fighting with the lightning and the fire. And so the card made me think about how even today as a society, we are all just like battling each other.
Right.
And we feel that we are speaking different languages when really it's the same language. Like, or what we're thinking about is the same. So just making me think that really a lot of it is just this, we keep going back to this miscommunication. We're not talking with each other.
Right.
It's part of the same energy, but we're taking it, shaping it a little and just hitting each other with it.
Exactly.
And so I really liked this card because it shows us that sometimes the miscommunication is stemming from us.
And how we, I always say there's a difference between hearing and listening, right? And we have, and I selective listening could be one thing. You know, you want to hear what you want to hear. If you ever watch the old Charlie Brown cartoons, exactly, where the teacher sound wah wah wah, you know, and eventually when you're talking to someone or listening to someone, I would guarantee that it starts to sound like that until, quote unquote, I hate this term, trigger word comes in. And then you're at this place where you're saying, but I didn't say that. That's not what I said. That's not what I meant. You know, all of that stuff. So, of course, lightning is, so there's a patiki. Lightning is part of fire. There's a patiki about Oya and Shango, right? Shango is the Orisha of fire. And one day, Oya's at his place and he says to her, I got this pot on the stove. Don't touch it. Leave it alone. Don't touch my things. So, of course, you know, you tell people don't touch your things. What is it that humans want to do? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just curious. Let me just look. So, and I'm taking liberties with the pataki to get to the situation. So my apologies to my elders who are watching. But this is how you learn things, right? So she goes to his stove and it's delicious. And she says, I'm just going to take a taste. What is this? And she takes a taste of what's in the pot. And she realizes, oh my gosh, this is so freaking hot. And you know what you do when you blow out? right? It's that breath that comes out. And what comes out of her mouth is lightning. Okay, lightning. Exactly. Right? So she, as she's the wind already. She's the Orisha of the wind. She's the breath. And then you combine it with the fire, you get lightning. So when he came home, he's like, hey, what's going on? She couldn't speak. Because every time she opened her mouth, you know, every time you speak, you're breathing, you take a breath to speak. Lightning would cut him out. She knew this, and she knew that if she spoke, that he was going to say, what were you doing? Da, 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 da. And then finally she couldn't contain herself. She couldn't contain it. And she started speaking. Of course, lightning is coming out, everything. So we always say this, and this is one of the reasons why, one of the reasons why lightning precedes thunder, right? Oya and Shango, they go into war together. Wherever you see lightning, thunder's not too far behind. So Oya is the lightning and Shango is the fire, the thunder, the sound of that. So yeah, that combination there, perfect, right? You see how my Pataki, I can see that here too. This is what I mean about the stories in different cultures, which I just think is fascinating. All right, so now I did have a question here about the coins, the pentacles. Like, how do they, maybe it's just me thinking of how they play out in the avatar. Maybe because I honestly, I do have okay, so here's a card that I do have a slight issue with. Okay. That one. And the only reason why is because I don't remember seeing any other card that had, those are real lemons. Why? Is that a creative decision that was made? Or do they play a role in, I don't see how they could, but maybe I'm missing something.
I mean, the only thing that I can think of in the show is the Cabbage Man. That refers to like something to food, but he has his own card in the deck.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, the Four of Pentacles, like we're kind of gathering our resources.
Sure. I guess I was looking at the artwork.
Yeah.
Right? Like why that was left, and it could have been maybe a creative oversight. I don't know. Right? Because of the,
You want to know from the creator.
Right, exactly. That's what I was saying. You know, like these are real fruit. Now, I love the lemur. I really do. I mean, and that's what the lemur does. And when they were sick and she kept asking for water and he was coming back with different, I just thought that was just so, yeah. And the whole sucking on frogs thing, like,
I know you love them critters.
I know. I was like, oh my God. So for the most part, I mean, is there anything, I don't know, like I'm not feeling, what am I missing in the Pentacles energy that I'm not seeing?
It may just be me. But when I went through the Pentacles, I noticed that there was the representation of the characters in the Pentacles are not the actual earthbenders.
Okay.
So it might be, so I think in each suit, we have people who are part of that bending society, and a lot of the characters are the benders themselves.
Right.
In the Pentacles, Toph and Boomy are the main earthbenders in the series, and I think you only see Boomy in the Hanged Man.
Right.
And Toph is, I think, I'm going to just quickly glance. She's only in the 9 of Pentacles and the Page.
Yeah.
But even in the 9, it's not showing her with that power. It's showing her trying to pretend to be something that is not authentic to her.
Right.
So I thought it was interesting, and it's interesting that you bring that up too, that the Pentacle suit almost feels like it's not as strong as the others,
yeah,
like representing. So really quick, the Three of Pentacles.
Yeah.
If it's who I think it is the three Fire Nation young ladies, Azula, Mai, and Ty Lee,
Right.
tending to be the Kyoshi warriors.
Gotcha.
So this is them trying to sneak into the Earthbending Palace.
Mm.
And then 5 is the Cabbage Man, so it's, it is what it is.
Yes.
The 6 Pentacles.
So let me ask you something. Is there any significance to the cabbages? Because I swear I felt like cabbages seem to have been.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
Okay. All right. I was like, okay, is that supposed to mean something? Because it's just like, oh, my cabbages. But okay.
It's like an inside joke in the series.
Yeah.
This man can't settle anywhere because the crew is constantly just messing up his cabbages.
Gotcha. Okay. That lightheartedness. Sure.
Yeah. It's a kid show. They have to add in some humor in somewhere.
Yeah. Right.
Then in the 6 of Pentacles, you have Iroh, the uncle, and Zuko after they have banished themselves.
Gotcha.
So it's a moment of humbling for them. Well, Iroh is already chill, so he doesn't really see it that way.
Right.
Zuko does. I mean, he's a prince, and now he basically has to live in the slums and be okay with that.
Ah, I see.
And so you see the uncle is okay with begging.
Yeah. He's just content with, right. Mm.
So definitely the pentacle suit doesn't show the full strength of the earthbend.
Okay.
Honestly, I think earthbending starts to really like get its own, like really start to show off in the Korra series.
Okay.
Because earthbending, they become the police force. Earthbenders.
Okay.
Because they can metal bend, because metal is a form of earth.
Yeah.
And so Toph creates the police force. And the earthbenders basically take on that role of, I guess you could say, like police enforcement.
Yeah.
In the show. Yeah. And even then you learn more about earthbending as a whole, because then you bring in magma.
Right.
Then lava. So and earth is a strong suit.
Yes.
I feel that like it's not as strong as it could have been.
Yes.
And this is definitely where we would love to know more about like the creator and why she chose to portray it this way.
Yeah. I mean, it's still beautiful, but like you said, I think what happened could be like that speaking to the creator would help. Maybe. Does she try to keep it to quote unquote esoteric? I think that could be. That's my opinion. Trying to meld the two, and then I guess maybe because watching The Last Airbender wanted to keep it more in line with the story of the Avatar. Maybe that's what it is, right? And if you didn't know the story of the Avatar, then the suit of Pentacles would have been like what it is. The ordinary tarot, right? Right. We talked about that Nine of Pentacles. You can see it. You can recognize it here. So I think maybe that's what the creator, Nydia, hopefully, we can get in touch with her, was trying to just portray, bring it back to the essence of the tarot, right? So people could recognize that. Maybe with the other suits, some things may not have been so recognizable if you did not know the story of the Avatar. For me, I just think knowing the story of the Avatar just added an additional layer, right? You have that backstory. So you can still read the deck, in my mind, intuitively, but then you also have the additional layer. It's like you have a book within a book that you could take this information away from the series. And oh my gosh, I'm just seeing like the journal prompts that can come from this. Okay, like when you talk about in the Six of Pentacles, how we know it to be, but then the essence of what it is in the story. You know what I mean? And maybe that's it. This is another one, the Queen of Pentacles. Any significance there?
I think that's an original character.
Okay.
From the creator. But it is interesting because I'm looking at the Queen and the King together.
Right.
And if the Queen is literally lifting herself up on a piece of land.
Yes.
So she is earthbending, the King is not.
Right.
And neither is the Knight.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
And the Page, which is Toph, she's in the, I guess you could say, like the motion to start earthbending, but you don't see her bending.
Bending, right.
So I just thought it was interesting that the Queen is the person who's doing the most action.
And here's the King, here's the Queen, here's the Knight. Okay. So in Tarot, the Queen is not the one who takes the action. I'm not so familiar with my Thoth deck, but Thoth information is why I want to tap into my Thoth devotees. But I think the Queen is in the place of what we consider to be the King position.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Someone give me, some insight, but that's what I'm feeling. But I didn't feel that overall. I guess I'd have to go through the deck again and see if it's, I wouldn't say it's Thoth-based though. I wouldn't. I think it pretty much is still, well, maybe it's not. I'll have to, again, I'll go to pull that back and take a disclaimer.
Maybe she took inspiration from many different styles.
Yeah, exactly. But definitely here with this, the Queens don't usually, I don't feel like I'm not going to say they're passive. Their energy is not passive. It's subtle. It's subtle movement. It's more emotive without being chaotic. It's not the aggression, so to speak, or the active energy of the King. And yet in this Queen of Pentacles, especially being the earth element, she's taking action. I don't know. Let me see. I'd have to go through my other cards and see
you have to compare
the other queens were doing that as well. You know what I mean? Because, so I have here the King of Swords, who's sitting still, and the Queen of Swords. She's standing up. The Knight of Swords, of course, is moving. Right? But she's standing up. She seems to be moving as well. Right? You see that swirling of the energy there?
The same with the Queen of Wands.
The Queen of Wands.
And the Queen of Cups. So
interesting.
It's like the female characters, the female energy is given the role of the active.
Yes. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, I mean, even
Queen of Wands here. Queen of Wands. Yeah. That is true. That is.
I'm looking at all of them right now.
Let me pull this. Excuse me. Who's that? Why are you giving me so much trouble here? What am I looking for? Page. Look for the Knight of Wands. Page. Like even the Page of Wands here is doing something. The Knight of Wands, of course. You know, you still have that active energy there. But yeah, it's the Queen who seems to be in motion, you know, and then the King is, what does she say in the little, does she say anything in the little book, the little booklet? I don't think she says anything outside of the ordinary.
This is another reason why we would like a more detailed
thing,
because this is what comes
right in the book, just a little fold out. And
they're just keywords.
Yes. Keywords. But I am curious about that, like why the Queen has this active energy that I'm feeling in comparison to the King, you know, especially here.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to know.
That's another layer, food for thought. And it doesn't have anything to do with the series, like how they're portrayed or anything like that?
Well, I mean, people could probably do an argument for either side by saying that the female characters are some of the more, I don't want to say stronger, but just the more assertive or active. Like even in the main four.
All right.
Aang, Sokka, Katara, and Toph.
Right.
Sokka is he's not a bender, but he comes up with the ideas.
Right.
So he's more of like the planner. Aang, due to the nature of his culture, is more passive. Whereas Katara and Toph do a lot of the action. Yeah. They take a lot of active roles in the adventures that they go on.
Yeah.
So maybe it could stem from that.
Okay.
Or from the beliefs of the creator herself, where maybe she sees the female energy or the however.
I mean, I appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
Right? I appreciate it because the mother energy, the feminine energy, right, is the creative aspect that we tap into as human beings. So I can appreciate getting things done. Now, in the water element here, like the King and Queen, they almost echo each other.
Oh, wait. I think I just noticed something.
What?
You see especially in the Kings and Queens, that there's like a bright light.
Yeah.
So the cup cards have the light in the heart that stems from the emotion.
Yeah.
The fire have it down in the root in like their
yes. Okay.
And then the swords have it here in their third eye.
Let me see.
They have the light in their third eye.
Yes.
And then you can only see the light in the Queen of Pentacles, but it's like it's in her feet. It's down on her feet.
Yes. Okay.
So I think that kind of relates to like the energy centers with the elements.
Yeah.
In a way.
I
literally just noticed that looking at all of them together. Ooh la la.
Okay.
So you can even bring in like chakra, like technology of like where these energies are stemming from, or what you can work with.
I know, but that still doesn't explain why the queens are active. I know, right? That's inquiring minds wants to know, Nydia. If you are watching this video, I'm going to reach out to her again. I know, of course, everyone's busy, but maybe it'd be kind of nice to have her on to give us her take. I mean, I'm curious. This is how you learn about people, you know, and, you know, she could say, well, because that's what I felt like doing. Okay. Which is fine. I mean, it's still beautiful. And like I said, from my perspective, I appreciate the queens being active. I mean, you know, yes, I do. I think maybe, you know, as a king, to me, it's like the ultimate, like you've done as much.
There another relation in the show. Do you know about Zuko's mother?
No.
So the father, the Fire Lord,
right?
He wants to be the head honcho, but his brother is still around, and the brother is the elder.
Right.
So the father wants to be put on the throne, but he doesn't want to do the dirty work himself. He makes the mother do it, the queen.
Oh.
So that could be another relation to the female being the active energy.
Yes, yes.
Where the male is the more passive in at least a connection with the show itself.
Oh.
Now, I'm not going to like go too far into it.
Right.
You need
That's something to think about. Okay.
He makes the wife do it.
Wow. Yes, I'm going to be watching the show again this weekend because I need to get a full understanding, and maybe that could be that as well. But I do like the idea. And in many cultures, even though it was the man who went off, quote unquote, well, the woman wasn't passive in that sense either. Even if she did not go off to war per se, she was still very active within the village, even if it meant having to defend the village and the well-being of people in the village. The female still played a very active role in keeping things together. You know what I mean? It was never, like in my introduction here with the Avatar, it was never, let's just say I haven't encountered a passive, quote unquote, female, put it to you that way. In the Avatar. I haven't encountered that, oh, I need to be taken care of sort of vibe, you know, that I'm stepping into that role. It was almost that like their gender didn't play a role, and yet I feel like it was deeply honored. It, like with the grandmother, is it Sokka? Katara?
Sokka and Katara, their grandmother.
Right, their grandmother. You know, she was the wise one. She was the elderly one, and she was the one that had the say so of things. You know, she had the final word of things. And in spite of what they wanted to do, they were like, okay, you know. But then when it came down to it, she also made the final decision that when she came up to them and said, okay, so where do you think you're going? And, you know, you're going to need this, right? That comes from that wisdom. That comes from that place of not being a dictator, I think, but having the big perspective, and staying, I don't know, connected and heart-centered, for lack of a better term or such like that. I'm enjoying it. So overall, I would rate this deck, I mean, and I don't rate decks, but this deck has become a favorite. And especially with the story behind it, it's almost like one of those decks that I want to study in combination with the story so that I can flesh out my own reading practice, because I think that there's something to be gleaned from what I deemed to be a child's cartoon. You know what I mean? Okay, so for those of you who like shuffleability and all of that stuff, it's fabulous, all right? It's got, if these things matter to you, I know they do for many people. Silver edging, look at that, okay? The cardstock is, I mean, it's just delicious, all right? I'll put a link to her Etsy store. It takes a couple of weeks to come in. Free shipping, I guess, within the United States. I can't speak for international. I've ordered a second copy. All right. Myself. I've ordered a couple more copies for the shop. Yeah. So let's pull a card. Let's see what energy, what message we can get for the general collective. How long have we been chatting? It doesn't matter. A long time.
Yeah. We've been awake since what, 4, and it's already 8?
Yeah. I don't think this video went on for 4 hours though.
No, I don't.
Oh gosh, that would be that's a long.
We had a long chat beforehand.
Yes, so. We did. So this is one of the longest walkthroughs. So let's see. I'm gonna spread them out this way. I like to do that. And let's just pull a card for a message. You wanted to come up. Oh wow. All right, that's one. Yeah, that's one. Page of Cups. Oh, that one, and that one. Okay, I'm moving the camera. You guys hold on to your seatbelts. I know sometimes you can get dizzy just watching all this stuff happen. Let's get you back here. So the Page of Cups. What did you say about the Page of Cups when they start on their journey? That they still, because they come up, they're the main protagonists of the show. They still have a lot to learn, right?
Absolutely. And especially this one, because he is assigned an archetype, the buffoon, the comic relief.
Exactly.
And he has to grow out of that.
Right? And
and that's not really like a physical journey. That is, I guess you could say, like a spiritual journey.
Yeah.
To go through.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that it's kind of in the cup suit as well.
Exactly. You know, and sometimes we turn to humor to avoid seeing the real things. Like you said, we need that comic relief. And at some point, I guess some people could say, okay, you know, time to get serious. But also, this is a reminder for me as well that I can be lighthearted about things. Like I still have shit to do, and it's okay. But sometimes we could ease up a little bit, right? I'm still beginning on that journey as well. So with the Ace of Wands, well, we know, you know, I'm a Leo, so that's my element there as well. Collectively, everything begins with that initial spark, right? Feeling inspired, it's okay. And then, what did I say I was aspiring to be, right? Of all the characters in the show, that I aspire to be like that character. Mm-hmm. That to me is a character that exemplifies, I don't want to use a catchphrase, but being centered and grounded and being able to see the overall perspective and knowing when to act and knowing when not to act and understanding that not everything warrants a response, or it may not warrant the response that we think it should get. Mm-hmm. Right? I always call my Temperance card like the bartender. I mean, you can't make a good margarita with equal amounts of triple sec and, you know, tequila. Like, it doesn't work that way. You have to find the right blend. And even that, to become a bartender, you know, you're going to have some failures that are just, right? It's trial and error. But that, and then that. I know. Tell me, Christina, tell me, what do you think?
Mm-hmm. Well, absolutely. Like it's funny because you said that the Temperance were knowing when to act and when not to act. And then the Empress is like, all right, we've reached this point where now the passivity of, as we were just talking about, like the role of the female, the role of the mother energy, it's now time to break free of those molds that we have been assigned either by ourselves or our culture or other people.
Yes.
Come to terms with who we are.
Yes.
And then when it's time to act, to fully be.
Fully be, exactly. And then these two in combination here, right? The Temperance and the Empress.
Again, a passive male and a very active female.
Right, exactly. But this passive male comes from a place of knowing and the experiences. You see what I'm saying? They're coming from not a place of entitlement or self-centeredness or false beliefs. They've gone through the crap. They've gone through their own journey. Absolutely. They've gone through their own tower moment.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
You're going to learn about his tower moments.
I think this is a fantastic collective read. You know, we still have, there's still always going to be, we're all new at all of this, whatever it is that we're dealing with. You know, I think every day you start out new. You start out with one drop in your cup eventually, right? But we always should be in this place where we feel inspired and ready to begin again. You know, we go take that knowledge and the experiences that we have acquired and been through to help us make the right decisions moving forward. And then when you're ready, step in, right?
Fully.
Exactly. Yeah, you know, be like that lion. Right? A lion's not going to run after a fly. I'm just saying, you know, like for what? Yeah. So that is the Afro-Avatar deck by, I'm going to say her name is Nydia. What is her last name?
I didn't see a last name on her.
I didn't think so. I didn't see one either.
From Nashville,
Tennessee. I'm sorry, darling?
From Nashville, Tennessee.
From Nashville, Tennessee. Nydia. We'll put a link below of the colored afros. That's her website. This is the Avatar deck. I mean, it's gorgeous. It's stunning. All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining Christina and I. We'll talk to you later. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.
So let me stop this recording, Christina.